Ladies and gentlemen, George Cambosis got beaten on the weekend.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome back to the Looseheads Sports Show, the number one sports show on planet Earth, proudly brought to you each and every week by the terrible human being that runs Caffeine Gum Australia. While we're at it, while we've got your attention, while we've got your focus, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us both on Instagram. And please send Jed Gillespie nudes, and also please buy Caffeine Gum. Jed, how are you, sir?
I have no issues with any of that. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I had a little bit of caffeine gum today after I finished my labouring work on the way to Barker, the beautiful school Barker. Got me going. I also tricked my uncle into taking a piece just after he'd had a coffee. So he went.
You a caffeine guy or nah?
No, I said, mate, you've got to try this gum. It's brand new. Oh, yeah, he is like coffee guy, but, 57, he's not exactly having caffeine gum every day. And he went, fuck, it tastes a little bit different. And then he went off his rocket. So he's already an out there character. He told me to go fuck myself after that. So it's good day at work.
We're just pushing the brand. We're boosting the brand here.
Yeah, exactly. I said, I have to do this. You never know where it will lead to. So, yeah, I mean, not too bad. I'm very excited. It's bye week, by the way. Woo!
Fucking nice. Long time coming, mate. Long time coming.
Oh, mate. I don't know what to feel like. We still got training tomorrow night. We're training with I don't know whether it's New South Wales 18s or Eastwood 18s, but we're training with some 18s, which will be cool. I'll obviously make sure we go fucking absolutely live.
Bring 20% full noise. Live scrums.
Completely take apart their line out before the state champs or whatever they've got coming up. But yeah, so mate, the big one, which obviously happened some point last week after you did the episode, was there's been some stuff going on down at South. We've chatted about
putting it mildly.
Put it mildly. We've chatted about it privately, and not everything, but just basically, I don't know. I suppose I was just checking up, making sure you're all good, and so some things you'll want to share today. Some things you're going to sort of sit on for a little while, for I suppose intelligence reasons, and some things are still playing out, I believe.
Firstly, you're one of very few people that has checked in, so thank you very much for that, and I won't forget that. So that means a lot to me. Secondly, I'm expecting that there's going to be a lot of nervous people listening to this about what he might say. So I'm not really going to say anything. There will be a response to what's gone on. I'm not even going to say how I feel about it, but there will be a response there will be a response to what's gone on this podcast, but with respect to some very, very good people who I love dearly, now's not the time.
Yeah.
Does that answer that?
Yeah, it does. It does answer that. I mean, it's still very fresh. I'm sure there's still parts moving. And when I say I'm sure, I don't actually know. But I like anything, things take time. And yeah, back to that first thing, by the way, it's like rugby is rugby, but I don't know. You got to check in on your mates, but when things are going wrong. So,
look, there's been some interesting. I've learned a lot of things this year, and that's been one of them. Who your real friends are.
Yeah, I think you said a few times it's who's in the shed after the losses, and yes. That's somewhat it drags over a little bit because I notice it as well. Everywhere you go, there'll always be more people when you're on the up than when you're on the down. It showed a lot of ticker for South to go up and win on the weekend. I mean, Hunter aren't blazing through the comp, but they're also a decent football side. So all things considered, and last week I'm sure was a little bit disrupted, to say the least. It showed a fair bit of ticker for them to go up and win that game on the weekend. So credit to those guys, who I'm sure at least some of them are listening.
I think there'll be a few listening, but mate, they're wonderful. They're wonderful guys, mate. They work so fucking hard, and I want the absolute best for them. So, they are the ones that got put into a difficult position. not the coaches, not the board, not the management, none of that shit. It's them because they're the ones that do the work. So it's very nice to see the boys get a much-deserved win. And, I'm hoping that it'll continue a roll.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like when there's collisions off field, which there always is, like I know that there is at every club, to be honest. I'm sure there's one or two clubs that run really, really smoothly, but, there's always collisions between front of house and, boards and coaches in terms of their different goals and what they think's right and what they think's wrong. But at the end of the day, it is the players who are the ones who take hits, whether that be, I don't know, maybe the coach that they might like the most isn't there, or maybe it'd be that there's pressure on them because they hear these things, or like this isn't unique to South. They're the ones at the end of the day who everything's built around. It's the success of those guys. So that is one of the downsides of any sort of rumblings like you've been talking about, and again, that's why it's a credit to them. And no doubt the senior guys had a lot to do with it to go up and win first grade and second grade on the weekend. So that was good to see. I was very happy to see that.
I agree. And the other thing I want to say is that I'm gonna actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to say that. I think we've said enough there. I don't want to. You could do a 4-hour epic podcast series. Hours and hours epic series on some of the stuff that's transpired, and now is not the right time because I want to do it properly and make sure that I'm speaking factually and unemotionally.
Yeah, no, and that was one of the first things you said, and it's something that I like to think I would have done, but I don't know if I was in the exact same position I would have done.
Oh, not easy to do. Not easy to do.
No,
I'll tell you that.
You're a lot more thoughtful in that regard than I am. So I don't know what I would have done. It's very difficult to, you've been at South for 18 years almost.
16. This
years.
is season 16. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I've been Eastwood since I was crawling, so we're in similar boats in terms of what the clubs mean to us. So. Again, that's even more reason why I'm not sure what I would do. So I suppose to put a bow on it, or to do the best we can for this week. At some stage, potentially you'll have more to say.
Yeah, we'll look. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like to be honest, yes. I'm sort of torn between wanting to fucking just spit everything out, and more importantly, I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to ruin a place that I love dearly, and I do not want to make things any harder for the players, and other people have already made it for them. So I think that's probably where we'll leave it.
That's where, so putting a bow on that, there's things that for the interest of numerous stakeholders, as you said, that it's not time to talk about, and a time may come where that is to be discussed.
There'll be a time, and I'll do it. And if people are interested, not anyone, I'm not going to tell anyone, but if people I give a fuck about are interested, just call me.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You go straight to the source. But if that time arises, whether it be next week or the week after or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Then I suppose we can have a slightly more direct and pointed conversation about certain aspects. Because I know there'd be people with perceptions out there, and it's they can be addressed. Like if you're on the ground level, then those questions can be asked and answered. And things can, I'm sure it'll be very interesting. But like you said, I think it's the right thing to do for now to put a bow on that thing. So let's wrap that up for this week with sort of a TBC. But inevitably, it was a difficult week down south. for yourself and I'm sure for some other people as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for the players. So,
not a week I'd wish on anyone, mate. To be honest,
no,
it's and yeah, not a week I'd wish on anyone. But the Looseheads Sports Show is not necessarily about miserable things.
No, it's not.
So let's talk about Eastwood's great game on the weekend.
Well, we were we were beaten by uni on the weekend. I'll bring a comical element straight in. Let's hope no one from the front office listens to this. But we found out on Thursday that we'd be playing for a cup I've never heard of. I think you saw it advertised.
I saw that. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I'm sitting there and we're finding out about it, and I'm going, fuck, I've been here like 20 years. I've never heard of this cup before. So, like all, I don't know, like people tend to do, a cup was created out of nowhere. Some poor lady got dragged from fucking the middle of the bush to come present it. And we had a minute's silence before the game. So,
what was the minute silence for?
It was for a player who the Shoot Shield's named after, who died after a tackle 100 years ago to the day. So
cool. You know what's funny? Just on that, you know when you play for sorry, that's not funny. The fact that a guy died with a tackle, it's a poor choice of words. I have been drinking. But what is funny is, you know how they make trophies between clubs. I think South have like the surf club.
No one knows
the
what
Beaches trophy, and all the coaches will try and make like a big deal out of the fact that you're winning some silverware. But as a player, you don't really give a fuck. You want to win anyway.
No idea. Yeah. Look, the only one that I do like to get when it's on offer is the Roden Cutler.
Yes, for sure. That's a good one. That's a historical one.
I'll tell you what shits me, and I will get back to my original rant. But anyway, look, I found it quite funny in a way that it was sort of the first time that it'd been addressed. And it had taken 100 years. Like that in itself was sort of a little bit funny. As you said, the incident's not funny. The story behind it's actually quite interesting, but it was just, 100 years later, and they're like, now's the time. Let's tick it. Let's tick that box, But I'll tell you what shits me, and I don't know whether you've been in the situation where you are playing someone away and you beat them for the Roden Cutler Shield and they don't have it on them.
No, we had every time we won it. We didn't win it that much, but they had it.
No, so we've been at clubs who, I won't shout out because, to be honest, it's probably got nothing to do with the first grade side or their management, but their office are like, whether they're like, nah, we'll be right today, or nah, we'll send it to you during the week.
The arrogance of it, the arrogance.
Bring the fucking trophy to the game.
100%.
Like, it's very annoying. So that's just a little by the by. So, we were out at uni on the weekend. I've got to say, it wasn't a great start to the day. There was a bit of a bust up in fours over some alleged racist taunts, which wasn't really, again, they're alleged, but, it wasn't very good.
We had a guy get sent, not our team, but a team our lower graders were playing against. The guy got sent off for calling someone a ranger or something.
Yeah, okay. So I've been wanting to address this for a while. I think the law, I read it the other day, and it's very, very broad, right? But I think he uses sort of which they do at times to time in law, like the reasonable person test of, what's offensive, what isn't offensive. I think making remarks based on someone's skin color in this incident was like a throwback to Andrew Simons, and that someone was called a monkey during the losing of a game. For me that passes the test of what's probably not play on.
Stupid.
It's fucking it's just dumb. I don't understand it. And a good friend of mine, an older guy, he is related to the Polynesian guy who said, and that Polynesian guy can, trust me, he can carry himself well. But my mate went over and planted a left on the bloke. And to be honest, I'm sure it's the right thing for me to say. I don't condone violence. Look, if what allegedly happened did happen, then I'll stand behind him. I've got no issues with that guy copping a left. And that's what happens in the real world. So, you know, if he has to sit out a couple of weeks, I don't really care because I don't know if it did happen or not, but if it did happen, then I stand behind it. I've got no issues with that.
Racism is so stupid. Hate someone for what they do, not for what they look like.
100%. You know? There's so many things you can say on a rugby field because I've said 97% of them that are like pretty funny, but also can annoy someone without like, I don't know. I always think we're at a point in society where like racism in that context I always think it doesn't exist because it doesn't exist to me or in my circle. Yeah. But I suppose it does. And it's just so unnecessary, particularly in like a fourth grade game where uni were winning comfortably. So again, I don't know if it did happen. If it did happen, then I just would tell that fella, who I'm not going to name, probably stick to that side of Victoria Road. Stay away. I
almost feel sorry for him a little bit, the ignorance of it. Like, one of the few things that I've done well in my life, and it was all by accident, was grow up in Hong Kong. So I had like friends from Mauritius, friends from Nepal, and I didn't have a concept of racism until I moved back to Coffs Harbour when I was 9. Yeah. You know, so it was. I feel lucky for that, but I can understand. Well, I can't understand it. I can't understand it
at all. But yeah, so stay to that bloke. You probably won't hear this, but someone might know. Don't go to MVP nightclub. Don't come to sort of this side of Eastwood or Carlingford. And
where's MVP go?
It goes fucking hard, but just don't go there. To that guy, stick to the sheaf, and we should be fine.
You want to go there next weekend?
I don't know. Not really. I want to rest. Look, it was actually a bizarre game for us. We had all the possession. Uni made 230 tackles. So
that was similar when we played them. There was like a huge amount of tackles.
Look, they don't play with the ball, which is, we all know, the young Robertson is a very good 9, and he's a very good kicking 9. And then they back their defense. So we just lacked that finishing touch, to be honest. And, it was costly. We did miss. I think the guys who stepped up had a fucking real go, but we lost our 10, 12, 15 within sort of 2 days. And, I think these days, we're lucky and we've got enough depth where we can lose 1. We can lose 2 even. But when we lost 3 of them, it starts hurting, It's a bit of a different, you're on a different.
Had Wayne play.
Wayne Borzak.
Yeah. He's favorite player in the shit show.
I was going to bring him up later, but you fucking cannot pay for experience. I don't know where it doesn't really matter. Like, Wayne hasn't played Super Rugby, but he's played so much football that he brings like a calming energy to games. Like he knows how people play. He knows what to do, what not to do. And things don't phase you when you get older, but he brings that to the team. So he's a fucking fantastic asset. I'm so happy we have him. And he was good, yeah. He was good, man. He actually had a really good game. So
big fan of that guy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him as well. So look, it was a good win from Uni. They play undoubtedly, and this is not offensively to Uni people because I don't mind it at all. In fact, if I had a different style of team, I'd play it. They play a very boring brand of rugby, more heavy, kick heavy, D heavy, but that's what higher levels of rugby is these days. So not a lot of attack. They score a lot from counter. So they score 2 from counter and 2 effectively from intercepts. So they take advantage of their chances. And that's what they're really good at. So there's actually some incredible statistics on Uni and the way they score. And it's effectively all from transitions. But shout out to Jack McCalman, the skipper there. I caught up with him. No, he went to the same school as me, a couple of years under me. But it's sort of good to see him getting his flowers a little bit. It's tough at Uni. Like, even 3 or 4 years ago, Chubby, when players bounce around so much between grades, And Jack could have played 80% of the season in first grade and finished in 2s. So it's good. I'm just glad that he's sort of captain of first grade now, and he's getting his flowers a little bit. That makes me happy.
The ref go.
Yeah, he was pretty good. No, he was good. I don't think I have any qualms really. I'll tell you what's a funny rule that only gets enforced sometimes, and I don't have an issue with it. But every coach and player, I'm sure, will know what I'm talking about, is off your feet at the ruck.
Yeah, they've been hammering that this year.
I know they've been hammering it this year, right? And we got done once on the weekend. And yeah, he was off his feet. He was cleaning someone out, but that's fine. But like, if you go every ruck of the game, 70%.
There's something. Yeah,
70% of them are off feet.
Yeah.
So it's one of those ones where I do feel that even if you are guilty of it, you are unlucky if it gets caught against you, because almost all of the rucks in a game, someone will be off their feet. Almost all of them. Like, I know I always use this example, but pick and drives, like, oh my goodness, like, yeah. So I know they're cracking down on it, and it's altered the way we train. You got to pop up and things like that. But I still feel that even when you're guilty, you're unlucky, because it'll only get called once, twice a game, and it probably happens 60 times a game.
Yeah, a lot.
50. So, so well done to Uni. It was a good win. Disappointing going into the bye, but they got Manly the week after the bye, so inevitably one of those two will smack themselves down a spot. Around the grounds, Rats. Did you see the end of the Rats game?
I was a little checked out in the weekend.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, the Rats, I don't know, I think it was Willett. He hit a long-range penalty for the win against West. So I suppose well done to West for being in the fight.
Fucking earth.
Fuck, Rats have been a little bit inconsistent this year. They've really, for me, I've watched some of their games and they've looked fantastic. And then other games have just not gone their way. East ran out sort of big winners on Gordon. So
that's interesting to me.
That is interesting to me as well. I haven't watched the game. I was a little bit, not checked out, but I was a little bit like, oh, fuck, bye week, I'm going to do my review and relax. So I'll probably watch less than I do usually. So I can't completely carry this segment like I usually do.
Maybe I could probably have the time to start reviewing every game now.
Well, we'll just make it a 9-hour podcast and you just go minute by minute. Tackle.
So at this scrum, he should have done that.
So that's an interesting one for Gordon. It's probably one that they needed. And I wonder where those points came from. I mean, they do have some dynamic players, East. Like they do counter well, but Gordon got a very good scrum and a very good set piece. So a pretty good line out. So I wonder where that happened. But they look, I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon had a run in the second half of the season. I really wouldn't. They've done that before. 2 years ago, they had a really good run and just missed out. But I suppose pressure has been mounting a little bit in reality.
Can I tell you something I've enjoyed?
Yes.
The Waratahs Mad Monday.
Hold on. That's on the thing.
You're going to get to it?
Yeah, I've got to do these quickly then. I'm only 3.
Yeah, sorry.
Randwick North had a 44-all draw, which is incredible shootout.
Well, what's that game?
Yeah, I mean, fuck me. That's just ridiculous. Hunter went down to South 24-31, so probably a tough game. Manly held off the 2 Blues, who I believe were up 12-0 or something, 29-22. And then Uni beat Eastwood 31-20. So
it's a good comp. It's a fucking good comp.
But for me, only one result really went the way I didn't think it would go. I probably thought Gordon would beat East. The rest sort of fall the right way, but with interesting scores.
Apart from Eastwood and Uni, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Now with the Tars, obviously they bounced out. When I say fair weather watcher, I watch what I can, but if I'm not there for all 80, you'll have to forgive me, Holloway. Will Harris showed some fucking wheels, which blew me away, real wheels. But what you want to talk about mainly is them now getting on the piss for a couple of days, and you've obviously been enjoying that.
That's the only thing I care about. Do you know what I love about DC? He just put some Facebook post up about he was like the last man standing, and so it's good to see them having fun. Yeah, I saw a video of HJH and Jamie Roberts singing at some pub.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, Holloway's dressed as Harry Potter, doing some little spell with his daughter, and that's the reason you play footy is those kind of things, man. And it's just nice to see the boys enjoying themselves and enjoying each other. And I think rugby's well and truly turned around at the Waratahs.
Yeah, I think I know you never be happy with losing, but they should be proud of where they got to. And I'm sure they got a lot of support back this year. I also saw Holloway with his wand out today, and a video of a very dusty-looking Tane Edmed on the way to the boat. So I think there'll be some very sorry soldiers come sort of probably tomorrow, really.
You reckon the boys will get in Wallabies or Australia A? Those two.
Oh, here's the thing. That's also on my list. But
it'll be one of the two. It'll be one of the two.
Let's mix the list. Let's mix my list up. So, firstly, I've got to go back quickly. Actually, no, let's hit that. I have no fucking idea who's going to be in this Australia A team. If you logically sat down, you could probably figure out roughly who's going to be in the Wallabies. I don't know if Tane will be in the Wallabies. Depends how big their squad is. I don't know. But you'd have to think he'd be in the A team because you're probably 4 or 5 tens deep by that point.
Well, if they're not in the Wallabies, they'll both be in the A team, in my view.
Correct. Now, do you think there's any merit to having an A team?
Because
I've heard a rumor as to why people think they're doing it.
Why? I like rumors. I've heard of plenty of rumors
to cap everyone.
That's fucking cheeky. Look, after some of the things I've seen in the last couple of weeks, I think that's probably possible.
Just expand on that for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Once you play an international, so if you've played for Australian Sevens in a sanctioned tournament, or you were to play for Australia A in a sanctioned tournament, you now become Australian internationally capped, which changes the way you could potentially go overseas in the future. It probably inhibits that. Unless you're very, very, very good. So say you only ever play 2 Australia A games, you've probably cut off your chances probably in Japan, or you've hurt yourself in terms of exporting yourself. So it would be very smart for Australia to go and cap, an extra 35 guys. It's just 35 guys that are going to struggle to get overseas.
I guarantee you it'll be guys that are uncapped if that's the
but that's my question. So with the A team, I'm very much waiting to see whether it's genuine next cabs off the rank, and you have Wallabies in there who were previously Wallabies but have probably fallen to third string. Say Ned Haddingen coming back from injury, like used to be in the Wallaby squad. He's had a tumultuous year. Is he in the A team, or are they picking?
I'm sure he would be.
Yeah, or do they go like you said, and they're like, what?
Full uncapped players.
So Langy Gleeson's and those guys of the world who are, still only playing limited minutes, but it's like, fuck me, we're going to need them eventually. Let's cap them up.
I like it. I like Devious plots.
I don't mind Davies, but I think that's very smart. I think another question that we got this week is about Super Rugby returning players. It massively inhibits the return of a fuckload of Super players.
Shoot Shield. Fucking they'll have big ramifications for Shoot Shield.
Massive So if you were a club relying heavily on, I mean, fuck me, I'm not going to lie, it'd be nice to see Mark Nongarawasi back and Tane, but I would think that both of those guys are going to be tied up in the A probably. I hope, bias declared as I always do, I hope Tane's in the fucking Wallabies. But realistically, if he's in the A team, that's still another month or whatever the fuck that we don't get him. And that's time, multiply that by fucking 12, because that's where most clubs are going to be feeling the pinch as well.
Absolutely. Jed will get him one of those, so he's gone.
I think he'll be in the Wallabies.
Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully we don't put the curse on him. But yeah, there'll be other clubs. Hopefully some East guys get in that, uni guys.
There's not that many uni guys. Most of the uni. So to answer the question of what the one of our listeners asked was, talk about the guys coming back, the super guys who we may see. Realistically, I think you'll see immediately the guys who you've already been seeing. So for the most part, the guys who've had some spells, you'll see them again immediately. If you haven't seen them back really, there's a pretty good chance, particularly from the New South Wales perspective, that they'll be tied up in the A program. Like
you'll see guys like Jack Grant come straight back.
So the guys who play like Jeremy Williams, I don't know about Langy, but I don't know, Ruan, like guys who've sort of played.
Guys like that.
Yeah, like they'll be back, but the other guys, I don't know. I think you also never know. They could pick a fucking 45-man squad for the East. I don't know.
They could.
No fucking idea, but it's going to have massive ramifications on the Shoot Shield. And if you were hedging your whole season on those guys returning, you wouldn't be that stoked at the moment.
Who do you reckon's hedging this season on it? East?
Oh, I don't think that, like when I say hedging your season, like going we'll be absolutely swell. I don't know whether that's what they think. Inevitably their team gets significantly better if they get those guys back. That's not a shot against them, but I mean it sort of has made retrospectively your off-season recruiting of non-professionals kind of more important than you thought it was going to be, I think. So, for instance, Para with their guys, with their squadron from England, that then becomes a better recruitment strategy because they'll be available when, we thought, we'd have 5 guys back this week from the Tars. It turns out they were going to be another month.
Yeah.
So, tying into that, you're talking about Mad Mondays. We did have a question from a big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of the person, about what
Rob James.
No, I think Melbourne Rebels legendary tight head.
One of the handsomest, currently the handsomest scrum coach in Shoot Shield rugby.
And the most ripped. And he's got the coolest tattoos. And I've got lots of tattoos. So
and he lifts more weights now than when he was playing. It's unreal.
So he asked, what's the best Mad Monday experience you've had? So
yes. You want to go first? I need to think about this one.
Yeah, well, look, ultimately you're going to have crazier and better stories than I do, but the best one on paper with no other context was definitely Melbourne. Like, it was just insane. I'd never seen anything quite like it. There was an article about the players kissing each other in the paper at a local bar.
I remember that.
To impress women. If the Rebels had been any more popular than they are, we'd probably have got reprimanded for it, but no one did.
Any publicity is good publicity, baby.
100%. Just literal debauchery, and the boys just went for 3. I just never seen anything.
What's happened? Yeah, got you. Yeah, I got you.
I just never seen anything like it. Like 3 days of just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun, and particularly after you train really fucking hard, like a lot harder than you do at Shoot Shield, and you live on top of each other. It was just really fun to sort of cut sick. I suppose my favourite Mad Monday, it's probably after winning one of the grand finals, just because nothing like the hangovers, you don't really feel them,
Not as bad.
Nah, not as bad. And there's just, I don't know, for me, it was a big sense of relief. I was always worried about winning one. So when I got to win one, I had fucking 40 people back to my family home. Roachy was driving golf balls off the fucking front lawn into neighbours' houses. He then spilled yogurt on my pool table, had to be refiltered. There's just people who I barely knew sort of sleeping around. So look, it was a lot of fun. But what about you? What about you?
I got some that stick in my mind. After the Country Eagles inaugural season, I remember going out all night in Bondi, waking up on someone's couch, and then going to Dave Horwitz's mansion in Vaucluse. And
great bloke and great house.
You want to know how the other half live. Obviously, this is how you live, but just having that day there, it was fucking awesome. There was nothing particularly stood out for me, but just that whole experience. There was the grand final. So that same year when South lost to Eastwood in the grand final, obviously South was fond of a drink, particularly that team. And I did not sleep for 2 days. And I remember getting to the Monday and going, fuck, I need to go to Country Eagles training. Like literally the Monday after the grand final. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going. There's no way. So I was messaging Darren Coleman, who was the Eagles coach at the time, going, DC, mate, I'm fucked. I'm not coming in today. I'm coming in tomorrow. And I wish I still had the message, but I've changed phones about 3 times since then. And he goes to me, he was going off at me. He goes, and all via text as well. He goes, Mick Snowden just won a grand final, partied for 2 days, and he's already here. Get your fucking ass in here now.
Yeah, well, Snowy did party, but he's probably not a party animal, as it were, as he had other priorities like a life and a spouse and things like that. Not that you don't have them, Chubby.
But I don't think he had a kid at the time. But the other one I remember is me and Match being the last 2 people on a South Bad Monday. I think we're on.
What a fucking surprise that is! A surprise duo.
Just sitting in his house in Allawa near Hurstville, just drinking and watching like TV all day, Canadian clubs, because that's all we could stomach. And then I think he ended up going to the city that night, and I couldn't make it. So
that's what it gets to that point where it's like the guys who are genuinely party animals, like with no pre-workout, they're still out there just heaving. And they're built different. Those people are built different. There was a famous story from Eastwood from the 2011 grand final. And we had the Colts grand final the next day, that Pierre Holler just left the house on Saturday for the game and he didn't come home for a week. And he just got a hotel in the city and he just was in the city for a week. So he's just like that old thing, Dad went out for milk and he just didn't come back for a week. So
we had a really good one in 2010, I think, and it was when Radiki Samo was playing. Oh. We had Sida Tamani, Kane Douglas.
Yeah, go because I got another Radiki. Go.
Mate, Radiki was in Canberra when he was at the Brumbies, and he told his missus he was going to go. He was taking the garbage out, and he's taken. Yeah, that's the story. And he's got his going out clothes in the garbage bag. Got dressed and then went out and partied with the boys for 2 days.
Yeah, Radiki is a fucking legend of a bloke. So he got signed when I was down south. He was 39, and I was fucking 22, and we were both not playing. So I spent a lot of time drinking coffees with him. And I'm sure I've said this before, but when there'd be a contract duel, they'd be like, "Righto, guys, let's go, Radiki," and he'd just go, "Nah," and it's just like, "Okay, Radiki's out. Everyone else contact duel," and so I can confirm on that Mad Monday as well, went absolutely. He brought 3 or 4 of his Fijian friends to my house, and they stayed in my backyard for 2 days.
See, there were so many things just keep popping into the brain.
And he went AWOL. He was fucking phenomenal. But same thing. You wait. I'm trying to get some sleep. I'm like spooning Sam Jeffries, Bryce Hegarty maybe, and I'm thinking, fuck, like I just cannot open my eyes. And then I just hear like, Jetty, get up. Get up, mate. You're going back to the Woodies soon. Get up. That's ridiculous. Fucking with a schooner at 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, no.
Can't say no to that, though. You can't say no to that.
You can.
How often does that happen in your life?
No, I can't. And I thank Radiki for those memories now.
Mate, I remember, might have been 2012, something like that. The Monday. So we've gone out on the Saturday, gone all day Sunday. We're back to the club on the Monday. It's like 9:30 in the morning. Oh, fuck. Stories just keep coming into my brain. You know the benches behind, the reserves benches at South, how there's like a wooden table behind them?
Yeah.
Like connected to them. So we've gone in and Lepeti Tamani is dancing, wearing just like underwear.
Can party, bro. Can party.
Drinking bottles, 2 hands, literally just going all on his own.
Can
totally
party.
On his own. That's a memory, and there's another one with a current Super Rugby Academy head coach, who's when you meet him, he's the quietest, nicest guy. You punch 5 beers into him, he is a complete fucking nutbag. We used to have these bikes in the gym, and he's either at 7 in the morning the next day doing the Tour de France while he's drinking goon in his the water things that they connect to.
Yeah.
So he's drinking goon, and then he ends up passing out later that night. We could be ruining a lot of people's careers here, but ends up passing out 3-4 in the afternoon after trying to wrestle guys like Jed Holloway, Sean Doyle. Yeah. And they chuck him in the back of his ute, and he fucking sleeps there all night, gets up and drives home.
Oh, gee whiz. No RBTs down.
This is one of the coaches. No, he slept all night.
Yeah, well, okay, he should be fine then. we actually, for that Melbourne, things just pop in when you start talking about this shit. For that Melbourne Silly Sunday, on the theme was forwards had to come as low income earners and backs came as high income earners. So
it's a good thing.
I went as myself. So I wore full kit Rebels training kit, including shorts. Including boots.
Income earner.
That I borrowed from Scott Higginbotham. Thank you, Higgers. And so I was wearing these boots, and then I wore my bib. Because I was obviously never in the starting team, always wearing a bib. So I had my bib on. And so we're just charging around like nightclubs. I got boots on, my bib on. But the story of the day was Luke Jones, who's a great bloke, very funny bloke. We're in the change rooms and like just after a session, and he calls his dad up and he's just like, you pay attention, but you're not paying attention. He's like, Dad, can I borrow your fireman's outfit? And he's like, yeah, I suppose. He's like, I need it for Mad Monday. I'm going as low income earner, and I just need it. Appreciate it, mate. And like, we're all just like,
it's normal.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stab, Jonesy. Like, poor bloke. I'm sure he earns a great living. But
I remember when we went to Perth the year I played the Rising. We're at Perth Airport. Well, actually, I think it was both ways. Luke's gone into the Qantas lounge and got an upgrade so that he wasn't sitting in, and then didn't tell any of the players, but was just on his own in the Qantas lounge. But he was a lovely guy. I was surprised by him because you get this perception of guys when you play against them, and then when you actually get to meet them, I was like, he was one of the ones that I liked the most.
Yeah, I was lucky in that I had a few guys who were his age, like Cam Mitchell, who were that age sort of NTS. So I'd met him once or twice before him, and he's just a really nice guy. So there's not much more I can say about him. I mean, he lives a fucking great life now.
Great life. Whenever I feel miserable, I go and look at his page. I'm like, oh yeah, my life does.
That makes you. I wouldn't know. You got to look at better shit than that. So shout out to Weeksy for that because that brought us great enjoyment. That whole conversation. This one is from a friend of mine, but I can only weigh into it theoretically, Chubby. How long do you have to be in a relationship until you can let your rig blow out?
Well, I was actually I've never been in good shape, but I was in half decent shape when I met Kate. Probably about 3 months later.
This is why we've come to you. So I know he's recently married. Former very good footballer. So he's just wondering, what are the key signs he should be looking for before really dropping the hammer on that?
You know what I think, Jed? Do you know what it's not what I do, but it's what I think. I think if you are obliged to only make relations with one other human, you should probably try your best to look really good.
That's not going to sit well with him, but
that's what I think. But in reality, it's not what I do.
Okay, well,
so it seems fair, doesn't it? Like if you can only do one. If you can only, eat Macca's at one restaurant, you want it to be a nice-looking restaurant, don't you? Or as nice a looking restaurant as possible.
How often are you having Macca's?
Not often enough.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll throw an answer on that for you. I'm going to say from where you're at now, the person who asked the question, probably 6 months. So good luck in that next 6. Hold it together.
Fucking earth. We're doing God's work here.
We are doing the Lord's work. One of our listeners, will the US have a mass uprising, civil disobedience, or civil war within the next 30 years?
Oh, that's a great question.
I don't think there will be a civil war in the US in the next 30 years.
What about the fuckwit shooting kids the other day?
Bro, that's where I don't know, hit him with beanbags and give him the chair.
He shouldn't be killed. He should be kept alive but tortured. Like being killed is taking him out of his misery, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But it's the one thing I don't know where I sit on their whole guns thing. Like obviously the buyback works really well in Australia where basically all our guns are gone and we don't have any dramas except now the kids all stab each other, which is still shit, but probably less deadly. If I'm boring you, mate, just let me know and I'll.
I know. It's been a big week.
Yeah, I know. But the interesting thing was that I didn't realize the like 50 of the reason that they can't get background checks is the house. Like, so they can't pass background checks. So I still think, I didn't realize it was to that extent where there was 50 senators preventing background checks from getting through the house. You think you could probably settle at a happy medium and have background checks for people buying weapons, wouldn't you?
But it's such, I agree. You'd think background checks is incredibly reasonable, but there's such a gun culture in America, isn't there? Like,
they're just very polarized. They're very polarized. Their politics. You're either like, that's a great example. So you're pro guns, which means anyone can have one. Fucking everyone gets one. Or you're anti-guns. No, they shouldn't exist. They're very, very rarely do they have someone who's like, can we give a bit of give and take there? But no, Nick O'Connor, I don't think that there will be a civil war in America.
A civil war seems strange. It'd be interesting to see what happens if Donald Trump gets back in.
I do, for the sake of the world, I hope he doesn't. I hope he does. I think Ron DeSantis will get in for the.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're paying attention more than me, but I would really like it if Donald Trump got back into office because I find him highly entertaining. That's the only reason.
We got a question.
We got some questions today.
Yeah, they were really good questions too. It's a little bit of a hard one, so we're going to have to sort of shoot from the hip in a way. But name a shoot shield 15 to take on and beat the Rebels.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a tough one in that it's hard to just go him. But I can certainly throw some people out who I think would form a decent squad. So like, yeah, I can fucking shoot some people. I just pulled up the shoot shield thing from this weekend.
There you go.
I mean, I think realistically, like if you're making a squad, I think your Loosehead is in it. Shoppy. I think Rory O'Connor's in it, and I don't know whether I'm allowed to name my own players or not. But I'd put Ed in there. Ed Craig. Ben. Yeah. I like shout out to Willie. I think if we're picking three of each, he'd make the cut. In terms of hookers, realistically, you go for guys who have some sort of pro experience. So Ed guys probably
like Summer, Ed Craig, guys like that.
I'm trying to think maybe Dave Vea if he's around.
I think James Hildebrand, Cecil, you give him a go.
Yeah, if I think he might have buggered off.
Oh, he's gone, has he?
Tight ends, Connor Young, definitely make it. Probably can't beat them. It depends whether I can pick Tars contracted guys. I don't really know. But
let's not for the sake of this.
Okay, well then, second row, I think Hanaway from Norse is a fucking good footballer. The fella from he was at East and now he's at Para. They're second row 6.
Yeah, he's a good player. I can't remember his name, but he's good.
I think it's Kioa. He's very good. I'm a big fan of him.
Shout out to that guy anyway.
So he'd definitely be in it. I think
they just got some 6'8" guy from Sale Sharks. So I've never seen him play, but I'm assuming he's in it.
No, he's not in it at the moment. But then I think James Luff's pretty good play from Gordon in your sort of 7 hole.
Langy Gleeson.
Langy Gleeson, 100% if he's available. Brad Homopo's back. Brad Homopo.
He's decent.
Yeah,
he can play. He can play the football.
Yeah, if we're talking shoot shield stalwarts and Jack McCalman, I think Nick Duffy's 100% in it. For me, he's a great footballer from North. He's just a good footballer. I don't know what else to say really. And if I can't pick Henry Robertson's a very good footballer as well, and so is Teddy Wilson. So I know 2 of those guys are sort of notionally signed, but they're fucking very good. They're good at rugby. 10's an interesting one. I don't know too much about the Parramatta guy, but he's a good player. Tom Curtis, good kicker of the ball. Depends what sort of.
I like your guy. He's good. Good game manager.
Belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got that same thing. He's got an English background, played England 20, so he's got that sort of game management thing. And then for me, I think both the Buries at North are good footballers. So Harry at 12, he's a really, really good footballer, man. He makes a big difference when he plays and doesn't play. But I like both the Buries. I think probably Noxie gets a run at 12 or in the squad somewhere. Clooney's Ross from uni would be probably.
You'd have to have Waylo. You'd have to have Waylo in the outside back somewhere there.
No, I didn't say that. But Clooney's Ross would be probably me the 13 somewhere. And then, look, there's a lot of good outside backs. So I suppose the crux of the question is I think you could put together a fairly good fucking team to play any of the Shoot Shield any of the super franchises.
I think they'd need a little bit of preparation. I don't think you could just put them together.
No, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it Australian bar style and just have sort of a Thursday night dinner and thing. But also at the same time, I don't know whether any of the super franchises would be that stoked about taking the game.
I don't think so. Do you know what they're doing? Do you know what they're doing in Sydney? Was that all of our questions?
No, I've got a couple more.
Well, let's go through the question. I was just going to say they're proposing a North versus South Harbour match. Did you know that? No, I didn't. But here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. And the best team will not get picked. And it's exactly like when they used to do city versus country. The best team was never picked because realistically, like if it's a one-off game, you want good representation from the different clubs to engage as many people as possible. And the reality is that just won't happen.
It just won't happen. I mean, There's lots of guys who play first grade at, some clubs who the year before played third or fourth at a different club. So I think it'd be a fine spectacle. But
it's a nice idea, but in reality, it's not going to be the best.
No, I'd take it with an absolute grain of salt in terms of your selection. I think it'd be cool, but like you're ultimately at the whim of, for instance, like uni. Like how many guys could they possibly take from uni, or Manly? Like how many guys are they going to take from Manly before they say, we've got to slide some other people in here? So
you really think through things, don't you?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a pessimistic view, but I think it's also a realistic view.
It is realistic because that's what's always happened. Anyway, sorry, onwards.
One we had was an interview of the South's board, which I don't think will be happening this week.
Or ever.
But it made me giggle.
Who said that, by the way?
I'll relate
that. Don't name them. Don't name them.
Very intelligent person, but clearly a smart ass. Is there anyone playing Shoot Shield right now that you think should be desperately playing Super Rugby?
If Blake Sharp doesn't get signed by a Super Rugby team, I give up because he's a Super Rugby prop already. He's fit, he's strong, he's fucking hardworking. And yes, I am definitely biased, but I know a lot of Super Rugby front rowers, and he would fit into any team.
I agree. I mean, I think he will be doing that next year, but I agree. I use him as an example sometimes of people who I think, again, like last week, you look the part, you are the part. I'm not sure. Otherwise, there's some good, basically every team has a good back row of guys who could make the jump.
Is Michael Isley signed next year?
No.
Because to me, that's just absurd after watching some of the things that guy's done.
Bias declared.
But I'm not biased. And I can say that.
So he's a good example of what I try and warn guys about, right? And I suppose I fell into a similar boat where he's going to need a coach who likes him. So an example of a person I give a lot is Lockie McCaffrey. So Lockie McCaffrey played Australian schoolboys, first grade at fucking 17, 20s, signed at the Tars, had Foley. Foley didn't like him because, he's not a biff and barge guy. He got a bit of that later in his game, but he's not a biff and barge guy. He was a finesse eight. He had great link. He at Eastwood, he was doing fucking crossfield kicks. He was he's just so silky, right? And then he moved to the Western Force, and Foley ended up at the Western Force. And he didn't really like his style. And it took him, 5 or 6 years to get to the Brumbies, where the Brumbies went, you know what? I suppose we don't have to have a bash number 8. Like, this guy's pretty good ball skills. So, like, if you're on the outlier of what is a standard footballer, like if you're a guy who doesn't necessarily can do everything, but your main ingredient is like an X factor, I think you've got to have a coach who's willing to back that. And I don't think that's a regular thing.
I just think how many coaches have ruined players by not sort of encouraging that.
No, yeah, but like, yeah, I agree. But like, I think you got to, with people like that, and Icy falls into that category. And there's other guys who fall into that category. Like, I suppose, even like Tristan Riley at the Tars, or like guys who are got their X factor is just extreme speed or the ability to pop up and score tries anywhere. They might not be as physical or as fucking dominant in carries or tackling. So you've got to be willing to accept that that's going to happen. But you also get a try for free every now and again. So, he's unsigned for next year, and realistically, he needs a coach who's willing to go, okay, I like that. Like, let's take a chance there.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I like teams that have a bit of balance, and you have your workhorses, your tradesmen, and then you also do.
Yeah. You have to have balance in a team, I think.
Yeah, and the good teams in the Shoot Shield, like Manly and like not so much Uni, they're clinicals or shit, but the good teams do have balance, and they'll have those sort of X factory forwards. I think the ideal forward pack for me at the moment does have like a 6 or an 8 who's can carry in the wide channels, has good ball skills. I think that for me that's probably ideal, but it's not ideal for everyone. Clearly,
it depends on the makeup of the rest of your team.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think it's proving beneficial. Whereas I look at Melbourne this year, and I think they definitely didn't have one of those people. They had a very obviously Tamati. He's a gun footballer, love him, but he's not one of those people. They play Wellesley in the wide channels. He's not really one of those people either. He's a hard running dude, hard worker. Brad Wilkins not one of those people. So they've obviously opted for more of a hard edge, I suppose tough. That's what they were shooting for. So, again, if you're a player like that, and the guys do exist, like you get wide running hookers and you get all sorts of things, you sort of got to wait, as frustrating as it might be, for a coach who's going to sort of trust that and like that.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it says more about the coaches than it does the players. The players who do not make it under certain coaches. And then make it under other coaches.
I don't blame the coaches necessarily. I just think, you got to have that. You just got to have that sort of streak in you where you're like, yeah, no, actually, I don't mind the fact, I like that in a 6, or I like that in a 7, or I don't mind if my hooker runs a bit wide because he's fucking good at it. Rather than, all right, here's my idea of a hooker, let's find him.
Yep.
Let things come to you a little bit.
No, mate, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I can't even remember what we started talking about. What was the original question?
Is there anyone who's in the Shoot Shield who should be playing Super Rugby?
I'm going to say Blake Shop.
Yeah, you've said Blake Shop. I honestly think there's too many to name, in the respect that the difference for me, there's how do I phrase this? There's contracted guys that play week in and week out and don't play well, and are not objectively, if you rank them in their position, some of them wouldn't be top 3. So the difference between the sort of top end of the Shoot Shield and the Waratahs is literally who owns the kit. But I think that like the back 10 of the Tars and the back 15 of the Rebels, you could interchange with the right people from the Shoot Shield or Queensland Premier Rugby, and it would make no difference to your next day, to the next day work. It would make no fucking difference. Because I do watch guys week in and week out who are fully contracted and go, well, he's not dominant. He's not doing anything. So that's why it's a hard question where I can't just go, maybe 5 years ago I could have gone Taylor Adams. He's clearly the best player in the comp. But now I think like a lot of the third string guys from the Tars, from the Rebels, could be interchanged in a heartbeat. And I think you will see that. Like my reports out of Melbourne is that there's a fucking lot of people leaving.
It doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
To cheer you up a little bit.
No, that was good. I really enjoyed talking about all that.
Johnny Depp won his case, bro.
Oh, look, I know you're a big feminist, and you know that's probably a slap in the face to your cause, but you know, good people do get what they deserve, and bad people get what they deserve occasionally.
Well, the good news for everyone listening is I am about to go on a rant.
Finally.
There was a, I know, we've been waiting the whole year for it. So
I've been waiting all episode.
Obviously, did ye see the report in the Daily Telegraph of the TV and radio star Angie Kent, who says this makes a joke of the whole situation and will deter others from speaking up about abuse. I'm worried about future victims of violence not ever wanting to come out now. We have come so far, and now we have taken 400 steps back. So that's her interpretation of the outcome.
But people lie. So why is that acceptable?
Firstly, it was a defamation case. Secondly, Angie, the fucking era of equality, like whilst I think it's statistically far less, what, men can't be abused? Men can't be abused in relationships? Like Johnny Depp, from what you can tell, he's sort of like a very arty, like quiet dude. Obviously has a drug problem and an alcohol problem, which he openly admits. But like, you know, you heard the recordings of her. Like she's got a mean streak. Like, are you telling me that it can only go one way, Angie? Like,
are you going to tell me that you, Johnny Depp, a man, got abused by a woman?
I said yes, I will.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So look, unfortunately, that was a fucking awful article. Like, I would think that if you had any invested interest in domestic violence or experienced it yourself, which is fucking awful, but too prevalent in society, you would be supportive of someone who, on the clear balance, has been fucking the victim of some stuff. But no, of course not. So poorly thought out from her, and to be honest, I hope she gets...
Is it poorly thought out, or is it just a publicity attention grab from her? I would not even know who she was if she walked into my house giving me food.
No, I don't know. I didn't know who she was until fucking Jai Ayub sent it to me deliberately to either make me crash my car from rage or fucking blow up on this podcast. And I chose to do the latter. So yeah, that was good.
Can I ask you attention? Can I ask you a question as someone who is qualified lawyer that works as a labourer? Camille Vasquez, awesome or not?
Very good. Very good lawyer.
But I'm not just talking physically like you're talking now. I'm talking about the way that she asked questions and the way she phrased things.
She ran a fucking neat trial, particularly like if your direct comparison for that trial was, of course, her representatives.
Oh, they were awful, surely.
Yeah.
Were they awful?
Yeah, but not all court proceedings have a Vasquez or a Rotten. Like a lot more of them are like Mr. Rottenborn. They are like her. Like they, you know, she did a good job of sort of cutting her down and ripping her apart and cross. So look, I don't know whether she's fucking look. The reality is, if he was whoever he's hiring is going to be some of the top firm in the world, and so she clearly, whilst young, is very, very good at what she does.
Can you read this, please, Mr. Depp? I have other uses for her throat other than violence. Did you read that right? You
did, Mr. Rottenborn.
Yes, Mr. Rottenborn. Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it again?
I'll tell you one. There was a spanner I heard, and it took me back to my own experiences. The guys who got the axes from Melbourne, so they got the marching orders. They then were told that they were doing like 2 weeks of like visiting regional areas, and if they didn't
afterwards,
and if they didn't do it, then like rightfully
they wouldn't get paid.
They wouldn't get paid.
That kind of strikes me like some things I've heard this week.
Fuck, that's tough, isn't it? Though, like I thought about it logically, and I was like, imagine like you've just been told, like, yeah, look, we're not going to keep you on. For some of those guys, they won't have gigs to go to. Then you got to spend the next 2 weeks in a Rebel shirt, taking photos with kids, signing autographs. I'd feel like a fucking piece of shit.
It's like fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
I had to go back down when I didn't get renewed for the presentation night, and I kicked back a little bit. I was like, guys, like,
you had to go.
Yeah, so I kicked back. Like I was like, guys, like, come on, like things haven't gone great here, but like I've got to fly to Melbourne to go to a presentation night that, like, Lord knows I'm not getting what
the place I got sacked. It's like going to the Christmas party of a place you didn't get.
Yeah,
renewed.
so and I was playing the next day, so I flew down on a Friday, went to the Preso night,
all nighter, straight back to the airport.
No drinking, went there, left.
It's a couple of hot ones.
Got up at 5 a.m, a few billies, and straight to the game. But like it took me back to that. Like there's got to be a bit of like human empathy from the clubs when they're sacking people. Like I know you're paying them for the next 2 months, but maybe that's just like a little bit human of goodwill.
Empathy. What does human empathy mean? I haven't seen a lot of it lately.
No.
Oh, I promise I wouldn't say too much.
Well, no, you haven't said too much. I will say, I suppose the coaching changes at South, and I did mention this to you, it got me fucking sort of more alert to the fact that clubs are hunting for their coaches now for next year.
Clubs are hunting for their coaches for next year. Players are already being recruited.
Well, yeah, but hold on. The cutoff date for recruitment is round 8.
No. The cutoff date to transfer clubs is round 8.
Yeah.
So again, interesting what happened this week.
Yeah, it was good timing in that.
Interesting, very interesting. But clubs for next year are already recruiting players.
Yeah, of course, for next year. But you're not going to see any inter-club movement. You rarely do, but like during a season.
From now, you should not.
No, but I suppose it just made me hyper aware of clubs, I suppose, getting on the front foot for next year. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, there's a lot of rounds left, but clearly boards and people are making assessments. And this isn't South I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like probably 5 or 6, probably all the clubs.
There's other clubs, you know about that.
And you've got to evaluate everything based on the 10 rounds thus far, or whatever we've played. I can't fucking remember. And then recruit coaches, recruit everything. And I suppose this is my first real time into it. But like, it's just, I don't know, it just snuck up on me a little bit. And I was just, it made me more aware of it. But it's kind of crazy to think that, we're only halfway through our regular season. But
where are you going?
Mate, I don't know.
You want to take me with you?
I haven't spoken to anyone. At this point, I don't know if I have a job at Eastwood next year. So it's crazy. Like I think we're usually pretty late to the party, from what I gather in the past. But I have no idea. So it's one of those learning curves where I think, I suppose when you're 21, you get an agent and you start learning about what happens. And I'm basically a toddler again because I got no idea how it works. But I have no idea what happened, where I'll be in a year. It's pretty crazy to think about that. Like, but it appears that if people don't make moves early, then
left behind.
They get left behind. So like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Mate, I know a guy that's been approached by 3 clubs already this week.
Yeah,
3 clubs for next year.
Yeah, like
four actually. 4.
You can assert like you can figure it out if you're fucking smart and you go grab the ladder and have a look or like think logically. But like, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what will happen, but I in an ideal world, like I'm sure you had hoped, like you just get to stay at your own club and do things and enjoy it. But I don't know. I don't know how the fuck that works. I just don't know yet.
There's a lot that I don't understand, my friend. A lot. It's
hard. Look, I think the be all and end all comes back to clubs are run by the front office, And but a lot in terms of the perception, the popularity, the success on field. I mean, that's all back office. And I don't think South would be the only club where there's a little bit of disparity between the two. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I need to be. I shouldn't say that, but
you said it, not me.
No. I think that's a very general and fucking fair comment that I'm sure applies to a lot of people. But you know, when you're making decisions about coaching or day-to-day function, and you're not actually there or seeing it or talking to anyone, then it's like.
Keep going. You've been very logical here. Keep going.
No, well, I know that I wasn't a popular choice to be coach this year, but my only request in that was that they talk to someone about the year last year, and that was it. So, like, I suppose my request was like, that's fine. Talk to the players, talk to first grade coaches from last year. Just talk to someone to grasp that before it is the conclusion,
that is also a very logical and reasonable request. And you would think that anyone would talk to the people involved when they make decisions.
Yeah.
Anyone. If you're making hard decisions, you should ask everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean,
shouldn't you?
You should. But that's why I think it's yeah. I mean, so I don't think it's not necessarily a secret. It's not necessarily shade on anyone, but it's just, it's you should be consulting. You should consult a lot before you make hard calls, and ultimately, whoever you do hire is going to determine sort of how your club's perceived, whether you guys are winning, whether you guys are successful, but also whether the 90, 100 guys who are turning up every week in, week out are happy as well. So, it's interesting.
There's a lot of complex and, complicated issues go into running a club, eh?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was thinking about it this week because I work at Barker now, and there's a fella from South down there, Sportsy. He's a really nice guy, and then the head of rugby there's a really nice guy, and they're both tied up with different clubs. And we're just talking about you never know what you're getting, eh? Like you never know what you're getting. Like there's fucking level 4, fucking level 5 guys floating around coaching. And then you might get a hold of them, and they couldn't coach their way out of a fucking tied knot. But then
we've all seen that.
Yeah, but then you might get like a guy who's not even retired yet, who's fantastic, So like, it must be very difficult, I will say, from a administrative perspective, because you could interview someone who is just like perfect, perfect CV, all the qualifications. Like I'm gonna have to do my fucking level 3 at some point. Like all the qualifications, and then you get out in the field and they don't do anything, or they don't do any prep, or they don't do any review, or they don't, I don't know, and you just go, fuck. So it must be a very hard thing to gauge. It'd be stressful for me if I was hiring the head coach or the forwards coach or the fucking backs coach of somewhere. I'd be like, how the fuck am I going to know if this guy can do it?
Yeah, I kind of had a year as an assistant to kind of feel my way into it, and by no means would I say I was perfect. I got some things to work on, as we all do, but there was some, I believe, some good elements there as well. So, I think that's probably the way. If you can have a year, it's like you with second grade, then you transition. Yeah. I think that's a really good way to do it.
But the problem is people don't want to do that. So I know that there was people who interviewed at Eastwood this year who didn't want to do second grade. They wanted to do first grade. But, what you're saying is right. Like even I know this is like such a micro example, but even at Barker, I said to the guy, like, mate, I'll come down and do a session because you don't know if I'm a 100%. Terrible bloke.
100%.
So like we're sitting there and he's like, well, which days and which day? And honestly, it's been a great experience and they're a lovely school. It's a fucking lovely school. But I said, mate, I'll fill in all the forms and get everything sorted, but let me come down and do a session because I could be completely shit.
Yeah.
Like don't lock in something until you know what you're buying. So
that's very good advice. I might follow your lead there.
Well, I think, but like it's very hard. It's very, very difficult, I suppose, from an administrative perspective to be like, right, you're the prospective first grade coach for next year. We'll get you down to run a session and we'll observe. Like, what? How do you do it? You're hitting hope.
Yeah,
you're honestly hitting hope.
Yep, I agree. I think that's, obviously in your situation, you and Benny played together and you're good mates. So there's a huge level of trust there as well, built up over a number of years. And you've kind of worked into the role in a really good way, I think. And if only everyone was as lucky to have that kind of transition into that role. Lucky, you deserve it. Lucky's a bad word, but
no,
it's a really good. It's a really good start to your coaching career.
I agree.
In my opinion,
I'm very thankful for it, but it's a double-edged sword, I will say, because we're good friends. Prior to that, it's like it's a short ball. You know what I mean? So it's almost
perception wise.
You've got to prove your way out of that. So that's perpetually what I'm trying to do with the boys on field.
But it's look, some of the things I've heard about me this year have just absolutely.
Well, that's what I mentioned this to you the other day as well. Oh, sorry, tying back. Ultimately, the only people I give a shit about are the players, and as long as they respect the work that's going in, then I don't give a fuck. But I was thinking about, holy fuck, like, I've only been in this industry or whatever it is, whatever the fuck you call this thing, for, like a year
8
and a
weeks.
half.
Yeah, a year and a half, not even.
Like
2.5 years.
I wonder what sort of shit gets fucking, like, the things you hear about different people. Imagine the slander that I must be copying, or you must be copying somewhere else.
I've copped it. Yeah. I'm going to write a TV show about this year.
Yeah, I suppose the problem with that TV show is as soon as you release it, I think there'll be 6 other clubs going. Sounds very similar to our TV show we're fucking releasing.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit more extreme.
That's right. It always seems worse when you're in it. But
you guys interested in a prequel?
Right.
But I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I've heard some horrendous things. I'm like, how did people get that perception of me? Like, it doesn't even make sense. And then you go, well, the people that know me well like me, so that's all.
I think you got to stick. When you're young, I feel like when you're like 20 or 21, you're always like, and I still see it now. It's like you're playing a decent play this week, and all the young kids will be like, he's fucking shit. He's fucking shit. And as you get older, you're like, he's not fucking shit. He's a good.
I always thought everyone was better than me, even if I was better than them.
Oh, you get those guys, and they're like, no, I'll smash him. Like, it'll be fine. But as you get older, you realize that most of the guys you play against are good footballers. But I stand by the fact that almost everyone you meet will be a good bloke. There are outliers, and they're rare, but they're fucking well known.
Yeah.
So when they're not a good bloke, you know about it because everyone else knows about it. But
genuinely, reputations precede you in the playing.
You still got to suss it out yourself. But like almost everyone you meet from every club, from fucking uni to fucking Penrith, is a good person in isolation, and that's why that was one of the best things about sort of NRC sort of bullshit.
That was the best thing about NRC.
Is getting to meet those guys,
yeah.
And thin the comp out a bit in terms of the barriers. But yeah,
I agree totally.
And if you are a shit bloke, everyone knows. So don't stress because everyone already fucking knows.
Yeah. I like to think that people get what's coming to them. Eventually, it might take a while, but I like to think that. Is that the THC vote?
No. Yeah, I agree. But like, fuck. Yeah, I don't know what will happen in the next 6 months for both of us, but I know my parents will be listening to this going, if you're not a fucking semi-reasonable fucking paid coach by next year, then we're cutting you off from the family because you can't be going gallivanting. You've done a decade playing rugby and fucking failed, and now you're doing this, effectively starting all over again, and living in a shanty. So a 4-bedroom shanty.
4-bedroom shanty with a butler. No, it's very interesting year. I've learned a lot. I think I've gotten better as a coach in some areas. I got lot to go in other areas as we all do, but I want to keep doing it. And yeah, well, all the stuff that's gone on this week, out of respect, I'm not going to talk about too much. I think I've probably said more than I should already. We'll talk more about it.
Yeah, it's a bye week, baby. So we can all take a step back and relax. I know I need this bye week desperately. Unfortunately, as I said last week, the bye week's now filling up a fuckload. We're training tomorrow night, but like in terms of, it's a great time for mid-season reviews and, you know, like some prep on game plans, tactics, launches, all that sort of shit for the next sort of 2 months. So
a bit of a reset, reset of the game, change some things up.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get away this weekend. Are you going to get away in the end or not?
Yeah, I think we'll go somewhere. Trying to book somewhere for school holidays as well. Just clear the air a little bit, let things settle down.
Well, I'm desperate to, like, even just
Jared, you know what I want to do? You know what I want to do? Sorry for interrupting you. I was like, maybe I should go out to Cowra for like a Thursday through to Saturday. Just do the Thursday session, help the team on game day, and just do the bus trip or the home game.
Are they at home this weekend?
I don't know if they're playing this week, but probably, might have to wait a little bit. But Cowra Eagles, I know you're all listening. I'm very open to that.
If they were playing this weekend, I'd seriously consider going.
Yeah, well, if you guys are listening, reach out to us. I know you'll be listening.
And just do a night up there. Jared, if you're listening, can you go down to Barrow for a night? Yeah, I just want to get on the open road a little bit.
I've never been to Barrow. I
love Barrow. Barrow's on my list.
Maybe that's where we'll go if Cowra is not on.
Barrow's fucking great. It's full of rich people, but it's fucking,
probably why you like it so much.
Yeah, I like being with my own kind. But I'll save up $60, $70 and head down there maybe. To be confirmed.
Fucking nice. Well, I reckon we'll get a few listens for this show for some strange reason.
Yeah, as Chubby said at the start, it's not appropriate time for some things. So if there is an appropriate, maybe there isn't an appropriate times. Maybe there is. We don't know yet. But if there is, it'll happen when it does. Yeah.
Mate, thank you for this week. It's been not the greatest week of my life, as you know, and I'm positive of good things will come from it all, and maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday.
Maybe not today, maybe not
tomorrow, but someday.
The grueling bye week. So everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Buy caffeine gum. Just keep buying it. I know we're keeping buying it. So all the super franchises are buying it. If you're not chewing it, then you're really not doing anything with yourself, are you?
That's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
One of my friends likes that soundbite particularly, so shout out to him. If
you don't chew caffeine gum, then fuck you.
You're really not doing anything with your life. You're not chewing it, so just go chew some. Please do. If you're on Spotify right now or Apple thing, just go and give us a rate, give us a follow. That'll help everything tick along. And otherwise. Tell someone as well. Tell a friend.
Yeah, we might, hopefully Jed eventually quits all the things he's doing and we can do this every day.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to also do that. All right, well, let's log off quickly.
Hey.